I can't watch basketball games. They give me anxiety.
Yeah.
We've already talked about this.
We have. Well, I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast. I was very surprised when I learned this about you.
And I have to watch it on mute. When I do watch it, I watch it in a room alone on mute.
So you are listening to Pangong Podcast.
Welcome to the next episode of Pangong Podcast, brought to you by no one. Still fighting for ads every day.
Hey, but you never know. Maybe between now and the time we put this out, no, we're not going to get any sponsors on this podcast. So this one is brought to you by our usual default sponsor, the Croqueta Doorstop.
Oh.
The doorstop that's also a croqueta.
It's the ad you can always depend on.
Correct. I am Nick Jimenez. I'm joined by chef and chili cook-off champion Michael Beltrán. One-time chili cook-off champion, but aspiring second-time champion. And also, you... This is a good time for cameras because of this jersey. Tell people about what's happening here because this is pretty serious.
Yeah, so we made... we're in the process of relaunching the Pig Inc. merch line, which was started in 2012. And we've been messing with all kinds of things, bucket hats and beanies, and we have like 4 or 5 new designs. We're toying with the idea of making aprons and all kinds of cool stuff. So we made baseball jerseys, and we made the Ariete kind of look like the Indians, I believe. And then with the hammer underneath, it's kind of like the Braves. But then you could also customize them. And then the back of mine has my grandfather's name and his baseball number when he played in Cuba. So very cool. I'm very happy about these. Also, it just happens to be that the Marlins just won in the first round of the playoffs.
Right.
And they're going to the NLDS, right?
Right, yeah. And
so baseball's a thing. We already sold a couple jerseys. You know,
shit.
You could Venmo me all your money.
All of it. That's
all of it.
How much is it? All of it.
That'll be all your money. Thank you very much.
But I mean, it's a I didn't realize from pictures that's a actual patched on.
Yeah.
Super nice.
Yeah. It's like a legitimate baseball jersey. What I didn't want to do is make these jerseys and then them be like the ones you have in like when you play Pee Wee and they're just like a mom like heat pressed the name on there.
None of that.
And I was like, that's not gonna be our steez.
Yeah.
So
are they black so that they match the existing Pig Inc. ascots?
Actually, I know, but that's good. That's a good one. Actually, I only made one black one for myself, and the rest of them are white.
No shit.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
You elitist. You get,
Why is that elitist?
you get 50-some-odd episodes into a podcast, and you think you deserve a special jersey.
I just, since I made them, I'm going to make one for myself that I want.
Sure.
Because
That's fair.
I don't wear a lot of white T-shirts.
Right.
So all my shirts are black or gray or dark green.
And will that forever be the case, or you will, at some point in the future, will black be made available?
I don't know. Everyone's real. I didn't think the black one was going to be so nice.
Got it. Okay.
I thought I've at first because of the stitching and the way that we did the black outline or whatever, I thought it would lay better on a white jersey. So when I got the sample, I was like, cool. We only made a dozen of them, and I was like, but I'll make one black one for myself. And I was like, man, they came out. I think they're nicer.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's also because I prefer like a dark shirt.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen the white ones, but I have a hard time thinking that I would like the white one better. But that's nice. You get the special thing.
Bobby, I do what I can.
Yeah, it's good to be the boss.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes, it is what it is.
So let's, we don't have a guest today. There's not a guest waiting in the wings that we're about to introduce, unless Petey counts. But Petey checked out a long time ago.
Petey looks like he's down for the count, which makes sense.
Petey's monitoring the camera over there.
He looks good.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, Petey. You're good.
Yeah. So, right now, are you ready for the segue? We are smoking a special Pig Inc. branded cigar.
I love it.
These are actually the Espinosa red labels.
Yes.
But with a special band, which I think the band looks slick too.
Yeah.
And this came from Versos Sencillos Part 3.
Yeah.
You like trois?
I don't know. It depends the way you say that. It could be taken the wrong way.
Part trois.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what I meant.
Sure.
It is.
So we've brought this up before on the podcast. Versos Sencillos is the name of the tasting menu dinner series that you guys have been doing.
Right.
And I went to my first one at Part trois. So this hopefully will not sound too repetitive, but the menu is different. So let's do like a little bit of a run through since people won't see that menu again, right? Some items maybe.
I wanted to more interview you.
Oh,
yeah, about the experience, right? I think that you came on the second night, which to me was like a close to flawless service from all angles. You know, we were worried. It was amazing that it rained all day. It stopped raining at 5, and then it started raining as soon as you guys left, which you were the last table.
Yeah,
and it started pouring, and I was like, this is perfect. So a lot of things went well that day in comparison to the first day, but that's why kind of we started doing it 2 days. Learn from any rough patch from the first day and then, let it fold over into the second. So, I thought a lot of things about that menu when we were kind of composing it and putting it together. It was not stuff that I would say is out of our wheelhouse, but it was super ambitious for the size of the kitchen and the size of the staff that we have. But my team was very adamant about the fact that they felt like they could do it. And I thought they could too, because they're all very talented. Here comes Emma with the assist.
Thank you.
Speaking of that, also we offered a full wine pairing, and we offered a spirit-free pairing as well.
Was that different from...
That was different from all the other
really?
ones.
Okay.
Yeah, and that Emma actually put together completely. And I thought that was awesome because me personally, I don't drink wine, and I don't drink a lot of cocktails when I eat a meal like that. I'll drink just more water. And if there's an NA Bev pairing like that one, I would do that. But I'm not going to like jump in and do... It's just too much. By the time you get to the 11th course, you're fucking hammered, in my opinion. But, So, I don't know. Tell me about how you felt. I mean, I know you've done a couple of tasting menus in your life.
Yeah.
And this one was the first one you've done here. You've
Correct.
dined here several times. But how did you feel about the whole thing?
There were less surprises for me because we've talked about it so much,
right,
and because I've followed so many people who've done it online.
Right.
So nothing caught me off guard.
Sure.
In the sense of like, oh, I didn't see that dish coming. But of course, like eating it is a different animal. So for starters, since you brought it up, smooth as shit. Like there was no, oh, this thing was off, that thing was off, this person didn't do a thing, whatever. I was surprised. I think it would be valuable to like go item by item.
Sure.
But I was surprised at which were the highlights for me.
Yeah.
So not necessarily in this order, but like I was surprised that like if I was to rank from favorite to least favorite, at how high the ceviche was among my favorites.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was like, especially the plating contributing to how complex that experience was.
Yeah.
Was fucking awesome.
It's actually on the menu tonight.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like that, and I don't know, I imagine, there's very little that wasn't deliberate, but like the experience of a bite because of how it's plated and because of how all those things end up coming together from first bite to last bite, that was the one that felt to me the most like, oh shit, I'm like there's an actual arc here, right?
Yeah.
Which was cool.
I struggle with that dish a lot.
How so?
It's just like
Well, tell people what it was. To paint a picture here.
So it was a gooey duck ceviche. I think it's wrong to call it a ceviche. It's more of a crudo because they were just served raw.
Fair.
Gooey duck is weird. You've seen a picture of them?
Yeah.
And you just blanch them for 20 seconds. You peel them, and then you slice them like sashimi style. So we didn't like marinate it at all because they start to kind of like seize up a little bit if you marinate them. So just sliced, and then it was avocado and avocado mousse, cucumber melons, buttermilk lychee foam, 4 different types of herbs. So it was like a citrus coriander, borage flower, cucumber flower, and then there was a consomme that was made of lychee and lime.
Right.
So the lychees were local. We've just preserved them, and then what we did is we pureed them. We put them through a chinois, and then we put them through the centrifuge, which basically separates all the solids makes it very clear. It looks like water.
Yeah.
Interesting thing about the lychee, though, is like when it sits overnight, it turns pink. You couldn't really see it on your plate, obviously, because you're dining at nighttime, but when you look at the a cup of it and it sits overnight, it goes from like clear, like this water, to like a pinkish hue, which I found very interesting. And then the lime in there, which was just straight lime juice. The dish was very simple, but it was just supposed to be like fresh, tropical, and then, something that people aren't super accustomed to. That was my first time working with gooey duck.
Okay.
So it was an experience, and it's incredibly expensive. So I understand why it's not super common. I think the gooey duck averages about £1.50 each, and they were like $47 a pound.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a lot to take on. We probably overextended ourselves financially in comparison to the past ones, just because we got I really found like we've found some amazing stuff. But that dish was awesome. We sold out yesterday of them. We sold like 15 of them, which for an item that the center of the plate is so expensive and that it was pretty pricey. I mean, I was surprised that Miami jumped on there so quickly.
So yeah, that for me was up there. And when I mentioned the plating, again, for the person who hasn't had the dinner or seen the dish,
the photos will come out next week, probably.
Yeah, the photos will be out. But the crudo is sort of close to the center of the bowl.
Yeah.
So the consomme.
Yeah.
Is
clarified. It's a clarified juice,
sure,
so I call it consomme.
Right. It's kind of like on one side of a little gooey duck dam.
So if you look at a bowl, the way I try to build it in my brain is that I want everything to ride one side of the bowl, so aesthetically you have a lot of negative space, and then that liquid sits in that negative space. Also, there was dots of tarragon oil on all the avocados, so as soon as right before they left, they would get dressed just with a little bit of tarragon oil and a little bit of salt, so that when the consomme went in there, the tarragon oil would leach into the consomme, so you would get a little bit of tarragon with the citrus and the lychee.
So that was cool. I was a big fan of that. I mean, I don't know. You're saying that you wanted to interview me. I don't want to run through the whole menu here.
Tell me the three that you like the most.
The three, okay. I would say that the Wellington maybe.
Oh yeah,
was up there. No, you know what? I'm not. No, I'm gonna go ceviche or crudo, whatever you want to settle on calling it. I forget what you called it. Not the trotter, but the other of the Nochebuena.
Yeah, porcelain, porchetta.
Right. But it was that and something else, right? It was
a slice of porcelain porchetta. It was a head cheese pithivier.
Right.
And then it was an avocado. It was an avocado, like just slice of homestead avocado with house-cured jowl that we had smoked and then rendered it off. And then we built like a salad on top of there. Just herbs like orange mint. It was like 3 different herbs, and then the guanciale, and then just a little bit of salt on top of that. And then a parsnip that was just coated in a little beurre and then there was a smoked onion ring, not like a fried onion ring. It was like an actual onion piece that was smoked, and inside of it was a mojo made out of colatura.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would be one of the 3 for me, and I think that we like everybody at the table. So I had that dinner with Carluba's wife Melissa, and my friend Frank, and everybody was very impressed with that whole thing. Like it was very like. I think it struck exactly the balance that you all are trying to strike of like putting the idea of Nochebuena in somebody's head without it feeling either gimmicky or too familiar.
Right.
You know? And then this was like, I think, a table consensus up near the top, the honey ham wahoo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like that component of the picnic thing, everybody loved.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That was like a really last second, like put it together, that honey ham wahoo thing, and it came out really good.
Yeah.
Just the wahoo, we brined it overnight, and then we coated it in that Lyle's golden syrup, and then we smoked it, and it's delicious.
Yeah.
A little bit of caviar. That Nochebuena dish, we had to break it into 2 separate dishes because it just didn't make sense to try to put all that on the same dish. You know, like,
right.
We had talked about it a lot, and you know, to debone those trotters and to actually like stuff them and sous vide them, it would have been a shame to not actually put the pork foot on the actual plate. In reality, there was only 2 bites on that dish. You know what I mean? because that's the way that we cut it was in order to show people like there's just 2 pieces of meat here that you have to eat. The rest of it, you can gnaw on a pig's foot if you want, but it's neither here nor there. It's not,
I think we all kind of picked at it just for a little bit of the chicharrón experience of it.
Right. But it's like, you know, when you use porcelain and all those things, I tried not to do like the chicharrón thing because the skin so like creamy and velvety, I wanted it to stay that texture. And it stayed the same way when you guys had the porchetta on the following course. A little bit of like crust, but not a ton.
Yeah.
I feel like if you were to take that product and really like roast it hard enough that it would get crispy, the meat would be dry.
Yeah.
I'd much rather juicy meat than like crispy skin.
Yeah. And then for me, I mean, the Wellington was up there for me, but I think that's just like a personal, just because I like anything Wellington.
Oh yeah.
I just like the idea of it and the just everything about a Wellington thing.
We sold a whole Wellington yesterday.
Oh shit.
For a table of it was like,
oh, that's the move.
Yeah. It was $200 and it was just like the whole fucking thing.
Awesome.
It's for a table of like 8 people, 4 and 4. It was a big, you know, like they had a bunch of wine or whatever. So, and they got pretty much 2 of everything, and then they bought the whole Wellington.
That's great.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like it was just like that was really cool. We carved it tableside. We served it with the same sauce. It was a charred lettuce puree when you guys had it, but then we took lobster demi and we finished it with some truffle, and then we added that to it. It was so fucking good. So good. That dish was probably the most stressful dish of the whole tasting.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Wellington is like it's a thing, man.
Yeah.
And then not only that, Wellington has a firm piece of meat in the middle.
Right.
We took 2 different proteins and we made them into one, and then we wrapped them with another, and then we wrapped it with another, and then we did that.
Yeah.
So it was like a lot, you know. Sweetbreads, the lobster, we made that into a roulade. Then we wrapped it with a scallop and mushroom mousse, and then we wrapped that with a crepe, and then we wrapped that in pastry, and then we baked. I mean, it was a lot. So the day before, because we had done a couple tests and we weren't like super happy with it, but I just like kept pushing, and I was like, let's just fucking do it, and let's just, you know. And Chef Ashley was the one responsible for that dish, and she lost a lot of sleep over that dish. Yeah.
No, I remember that coming up a little bit in other sidebar conversations here.
I mean, it was super ambitious. And you know what's interesting about that dish is that when you receive the dish, how many things were actually on it? Just 2.
Right.
To really understand the complexity of what goes into those 2 components on a dish, and to appreciate that is the utmost of to understanding like where and how much the Miami dining scene has evolved.
And I think that's part of why, for me, I would say that it's because, not because I knew anything about this particular one, but because when I have a good Wellington, like I have some sense of, like, this doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a little bit like, I'm only saying this because we're smoking, but like if you have a good cigar, or if you have a shit one, and you have a sense of like, okay, I understand what they did wrong, or like why this was so difficult to do, or whatever. So, and then last, just to not leave the pastry side out.
Oh yeah.
If you had charged me the same amount and just given me a bucket of those smoked Twix bars,
oh yeah,
I would have been super fine.
Yeah. Yeah. That the whole dessert experience, I think, was on another level.
Yeah.
You know, I think
not to mention Casey in those shoes.
She looked like a mime. That whole experience, I think, adding that to the end of the tasting, which I guess we could talk about it now, is we added a dessert room, and the idea of the dessert room was to be completely aesthetically opposite of everything that you've experienced for the last 2 hours. So everything, you know, like we went and we bought new plates for these tastings. You know, we had a plate there that I spent more on that one plate than sometimes I've spent on 24 plates on one. And just like, we did all those things, and we wanted to elevate and make it very like refined and classy. And the dining room reflects that, and outside reflects that. And then downstairs, it was pitch black with red lights. The movie American Psycho or Psycho was playing, the Alfred Hitchcock one. Loud hip hop music was playing. Those fog, there was candles.
There's a lot happening.
It was weird,
Yeah.
and I loved it. I thought it was amazing. You know, like I thought that the idea was, it started as one thing, and then it kind of, Brittany kind of took it and just got very Brittany with it, which is great.
What does that mean?
Just, like she started to like go like out there.
Okay.
No,
Because I don't know.
Well, she
I
like
know her
she
as well,
she
so.
spent the way she explained it to me. She spent time in Europe, in like a past life, pretty much, and she wanted to build like some of these what was reminiscent to like a bar for her in Europe.
Sure.
And that's what we ended up with. And I thought it added a great element to the dinner because it was such a hard curveball.
Yeah.
In comparison to all the rest of them. And then something like I talk about that experience I had at Alinea so much because the ending is so different than the rest of the dinner, kind of in a way like it's pitch black and there's fog and there's like things happening, the plating on the table and the whole nine. Like it was kind of reminiscent to that. They put you in a different mind frame.
Yeah.
And that's what that dessert room did. And I think we'll continue to elaborate on that and continue to see how it goes. People loved it. I not one person was like, that shit was weird.
I had ideas on how to elaborate on that, but
Great.
I don't know how much you liked them.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
I told you about the caterpillar suit.
To put you in a caterpillar suit?
Yeah, if you're going to do the Alice in Wonderland thing, you're going to have somebody in a caterpillar suit. I'll smoke a cigar in a caterpillar suit. Petey can be another caterpillar.
Yeah.
We'll just kind of hang out.
Petey should be the
You can pay me in Twix bars.
Yeah, I mean. Oh, man. So, like a rundown. And what's interesting also about this dinner in comparison to the last ones was we did like 4 less courses, but I felt like people were more full. And I don't know why. We were stuffed. I made a conscious effort to make everything much smaller.
You know what I think? So because we did talk about that a little bit. Not that we were, on the contrary, we weren't dissatisfied because we were so stuffed. I think, if anything, Carlos and maybe Melissa, because I think they hadn't done, not that I've done a million of these, but didn't have much experience with that kind of like tasting menu thing. I think the first time you do that, or even whatever, I don't know, I'm not going to assume how many times they've been through those motions before. It's easy to like get the first few courses and think like, oh man, I'm going to leave here con hambre, But I do think like, it builds like anything, especially given how you're pacing yourself out of, it's just what it is.
Did you guys get wine?
Frank and I did. They had cocktails.
Okay. Wine definitely adds to the stuffedness.
Yeah. I have a higher tolerance for stuffness.
Yeah. I know.
But I was going to say, I think because the Noche Buena stuff came so late, I think that ends up like hitting you harder how heavy those courses are.
Well, there's a dramatic slowdown at one point. And like, since I'm expediting, I feel it. A dramatic slowdown. So, it's just something that I'm going to learn from and, try to take into the 27th and 28th differently, I believe we're already sold out for October.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
So I'll say another, I don't know how much you want to get into my experience of it.
Yeah, go for it.
I think 2 other things that come to mind, just kind of comparing to my other limited experience with the tasting menu stuff. Like I think of Quintonil, which I did like at lunch, and it was very casual. It wasn't as, I don't know, maybe call it theatrical. But I think what it had in common, that if I were to like offer notes, was that theirs, at the time that I did it, was also very like, let me show you some stuff about where you are right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're a lot more explicit about like, for instance, I forget the specifics, but I think there was like a mole that had like ground ants.
Cool.
And they'll actually come out and tell you about the ants and what tribes used to eat the ants and where they are and all that stuff. Which I think even though most of the people here are probably locals, part of the thing is it's locals who don't know a lot of this shit. And so I think it would enhance it if like they were like somebody was coming right out and telling them like, hey, yeah, you've probably seen starfruit a million times and never eaten one more than like once or twice in your life.
Right.
Here's some shit about starfruit. Even if it's not relevant to the dish or their experience of the dish, I think that sort of like puts you in a different headspace.
I would say the biggest drawback we have of only doing this once or twice a month is we can't elaborate more.
Right.
You know, because I agree with all of that. And it's something I spoke to the team about the day after was, you know, if we were to do this every day, we would be very good at it. You know, but the fact that we do it only once or twice a month,
right,
it makes it a challenge. And also, this tasting that's coming up now will be the first time of the 4 that we're bringing back past dishes.
Okay.
And we're doing that because I feel like I feel like almost more the mental strain on the team to test, recipe test out, recipe out, test it out over and over on top of, you know, we have a very small team and then we have to do service as well. It's tough. You know, like I saw it on the team's face, like they pushed super hard and like they did an amazing job.
Yeah.
So, but I think this is that now that we have a good sample size, think about it too. In 3 months, we did over 42 new dishes, and we also changed dishes on the regular menu. That's a lot of food in 3 months for a restaurant, you know, especially one like ours that we source and we work and try to, you know, we're looking for excellence, you know. So it was rough. It was, and that's why I was gonna wait till November, but I thought October was just it was mentally time to start saying okay. And then on top of that too, something that we haven't been able to do much of in the last 3 was source locally. We got some avocados, mamey, starfruit, but Miami hasn't been offering much because it's not the season for growing. Now we're going to start getting into that season. So we're going to try to get back to that root of highlighting those things, you know. And then also equally some of the challenges are some of those dishes that were on the tasting menu are actually now on the menu.
Right.
So the ones that we really liked, like the jackfruit carpaccio, I love. It's on the menu now.
Yeah.
The rabbit porchetta, I love. It's on the menu now too. So, you know, that uni dish that you guys had, which I personally love, that's a dish that I've always wanted to put on the menu. You know,
personally, not an uni guy.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate it, and the chowder in the urchin, was awesome.
Tamal en cazuela.
Yeah,
it's like a different version.
Right. I'm saying chowder because you listed it as a chowder, I think, or maybe it was
porridge, corn porridge.
Is that what's okay?
Yeah, we put it as a corn porridge because that's how I sell it to like people that aren't, you know, us and that eat tamal en cazuela on a Wednesday.
No, okay, here's a very Nick beef that I had with that dish.
Okay.
Because now that you're saying it, I'm remembering the menu actually does say tamal.
Okay.
There is no E at the end of tamal.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
The plural is tamales.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So, everybody needs an editor. It's okay.
I think I loved that, the idea of that dish.
Yeah.
I've always kind of like thought about it in my brain and never actually put it. We used to have tamal en cazuela on the menu years ago, but it was with like a wild mushroom ragu that was finished with creme fraiche.
Was the tamal that you used to have like that one or no?
So there was small. It was like that one, but the difference was like I started the old one with pork product, and then in that pork product I would slowly sweat out all the veg. This one I didn't. It could have been vegetarian, and I did that because I didn't want the pork to overpower the uni.
Okay.
That's why the pork fat foam on top was supposed to be just an essence. So like when you ate it, you got uni and then finished with the pork. You know what I mean? Like I felt like it would have been too much.
Yep.
Same thing with the sofrito. There's sofrito in it, but I wanted you to really get like those vegetables and like those notes, the oil. I thought all of it like worked really well together.
What feedback have you gotten on that Florida orange?
People either loved it or hated it.
Yep.
I think it's definitely a work in progress. You know, that was the first time that we tried to execute something like that. I think the execution...
So tell the people what it was.
So it was basically a foie... It was a foie duck liver mousse that on the inside was a pâte fouille of sour orange. So the idea is Florida orange. Underneath it was a dirt made of chocolate. I think chocolate and foie go very well together. You know, if I were to critique... it myself is too big.
Yeah.
But if people don't finish it, I'm not offended by that because I know it was too big. I just couldn't find a mold smaller to make it like an orange. And then, it should be served with something to carry the mousse more. And equally, there needs to be another layer of something on the inside. So what we talked about this month, because I'm considering bringing it back for the next one, is to wrap the pâte à fouille with something else, another duck product or something, and then to try to put that in the middle as well.
Yeah.
So, still a work in progress.
I thought all the same things. I thought I loved the play of the mousse and the chocolate.
Yeah.
Both flavor-wise and texturally.
Yeah.
If you had given me like a slice of chocolate cake, I would have spread that shit on the cake and I would have been super good.
That's interesting.
There you go.
But that's also another thing is like I would have loved to just serve that with a fat piece of brioche.
Sure.
But then people were just going to be too full. That's more. That adds to that.
But
thing.
I think if you could find a smaller mold, or if it somehow were like two people, splitting is tough now. That's the thing.
Well, you just can't.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. So that's why like. If I were to serve that dish for a table of four,
like if half that volume were brioche, then it's your money.
Well, it's the process too of making it like you can only put stuff on the inside that you can freeze.
Okay.
Because the process of it is that you make that mousse, you set it in the mold, you put the pâte à fouille on the inside, you lightly freeze it so you can paint it.
Yeah.
Because it had like an orange essence paint that I put on the outside that took me 6 hours to paint all of them.
Yeah.
It was crazy in a freezer. Because if you do it outside the freezer, they're going to melt.
Right.
So it was wild. It was something that I was very happy to do. But, I learned from it. And, I think people loved it if they realized, like, okay, I'm not going to eat all of this.
Right.
Equally for me, I felt like it lacked another layer.
Yeah.
Which would be, like if we were to get duck confit and, like, wrap the pâte à fouille and then stuff that on the inside. That's all a work in progress. And that's all part of the... I think the goal is to really find a smaller mold. But that mold was so dope. I mean, it looked like a fucking orange.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, like,
No, it was impressive. The plate and the dirt, beautiful.
So, for context, the plate that we used was made famous by David Kinch at Manresa. He plates like a salad on there. And it's beautiful. And it's a Bernardo plate, and they're super rare, and they're super hard to get. It took us like a full month to get them. Like, they literally got here like the day before. And, I mean, those plates only made appearances those 2 days, and now they're back in my office underneath my desk in a box. Because they're just, they're incredible, So I loved it all. Like I was saying, if you were at a table of 4 people and you were to get that, that's an easy share.
Yeah. It's impossible now.
But that's impossible. But now, when people dine now, people share apps for sure. I'm more talking about in the setting that we were in.
Right.
I know for a fact that it's like one of those things that we just have to find the right fit for it,
Yeah.
And then I remember I was talking to my team after. I was like, what if we did that for regular service? And everyone looked at me like they wanted to stab me in the fucking eye. And I was like, all right, maybe not. I guess not. That's fine.
Maybe not all the time.
Maybe not all the time. That's good. Because I felt like if people got that for a share, it would be better for like a table. Like you get a salad and you get that or whatever, It's cool.
So I don't know. This began with you trying to interview me. So you tell me what.
I think what's interesting to me is how many people ask me all the time, like, what do you think about it? I said, I think that there was highlights, and I think everyone's gonna like some things, and people are gonna hate other things. And I thought that the sardine was some people would love it, and some people would hate it, and that's exactly what happened. I loved it. My chef de cuisine hated it.
Really?
Oh yeah, he hated it.
I think our table went in with some people thinking they would, but everybody liked it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the flavors to me all made a lot of sense, and I think that they were delicious together. I just think that it's sardines. So you either got to love fucking sardines or you don't. And they're also cold and cured, so it's just a different experience. I thought that dish was like aesthetically beautiful. I thought the idea was great. We'll never do that dish again because it was a nightmare. Yeah. It was the number 2 nightmare next to the Wellington.
No shit.
Oh, yeah. Because basically it was there was 4 layers in that dish. So the bottom layer was the mousse of monkfish liver.
Right.
The layer on top of that was the cured sardine. So the sardine was charred, it was cured, and then it was marinated in celery juice. And then on top of that was small, quick pickled celery. And then on top of that was a terrine of 4 layers that was supposed to resemble like a caponata flavor. So it was like 1 layer of zucchini, 1 layer of eggplant, 1 layer of red pepper, 1 layer of lemon and thyme. And then we had to take that terrine, once they were set, we had to slice them, and then we had to measure them to fit into the mold, and then we had to build them. And then on top of that was a salad of crystal lettuce, pineapple mint, and baby radishes. So it's like layers and then more layers. It was just like, it was a lot. It was a lot. That's one of those dishes that I think it was very ambitious. It was very ambitious for some people to not fucking like sardines. I think that at the end of the day.
I wouldn't say that I like sardines, but I like that dish.
Cool. That's good.
And I don't know. I mean, it was a lot on your end, but I think even for the person who doesn't like sardines, it's not a lot as like a, hey, whether you like it or not, just like experience this for a second.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much. You're not asking that person to go too far in their sardine time.
Yeah. Yeah, now we have sardine escabeche on the menu now. Just served with bread. We sold a good amount yesterday. It's just one of those things that I think the first menu we did, I did a bunch of dishes that I had been thinking about for a very long time. So they were... It's kind of like when Springsteen wrote Born to Run.
Okay.
Like that whole album...
I don't know the story.
Well, that whole album he had been putting together in his brain his entire life. And that was like something, it's like 10 amazing tracks. And it's like, I mean, he thought about them and the way that album would play and the way that it would flow together. And, you know, he thought about it to an exhausting point. And then when Springsteen got to Darkness on the Edge of Town, right? That album was more raw and it was more like he was evolving into something else. I'm not calling myself Bruce Springsteen, but I'm not at all. What I'm saying is I understand the difference. Yeah. I understand like that there was lots of thought. Like imagine we were in 5 months of quarantine. When we did 5 months of quarantine, one of our things when we came out of it was we were going to do a tasting menu every night. The world was weird. We decided not to, but then we're like, fuck it, we're just going to do it once a month. So we had a bunch of dishes already in our brain that we had thought about forever. And then we said, okay, let's just fucking change it every month. And then after 3 months, I'm like, we have to par back. We can't change it every month. It's just a lot. So I feel like I understand that feeling now. I understand that, you know, creatively you're pushing your brain and it takes a lot out of yourself and the people around you to do that. You know, there's some people that have a tasting menu, they don't change it for years.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think part of the other thing is also, even if you had said you weren't going to change it, it was always going to change.
Right.
Because if you did it the one time, you were going to discover new things and realize certain things about the idea. So even if you told me we always knew that it was building to something that wouldn't change, it makes sense to go that route for the first few months.
Right.
And sort of like throw as much shit at the wall and go through the motions of all those different things before you start to piece it together into a more permanent-ish thing.
So the experience for you from when you walked in the door to when you left, do you feel like it was an experience that was memorable and that's something that you would talk about down the road?
Yeah.
That is our entire goal. You know, you said the word theatrics, right? And I remember earlier on in my career, I would always be like, you know, I want like zero fuss. And I think as I got older, I realized, but I'm a lot of fuss. I am. I'm a lot of fuss. I like pachanga. I like things. I like it loud. I like energy. You know, I like it to reflect. I want people to feel not challenged, but like almost provoked a little bit in several ways, either emotionally or mentally or just like, this was amazing and it's something that I want to talk about and something I want to do again. Because food as much as I feel like a huge connection to it emotionally and personally for several reasons, people want an experience, especially now. We don't. Now the world's starting to reopen, and I guess we'll see how that goes. But people right now, they want to forget. They want to be put in a place that they're just like happy and having a good time, and that's really what it's about, And like the little gift box that we gave everyone, like everyone got a cigar, bourbon Tootsie Rolls, and a cocktail to take home, like
rum old fashioned.
Things like that, because I want people a couple days after to, sit at their house, smoke a cigar, and pour themselves that old fashioned, be like, wow, that was a great fucking time, and talk about it and reminisce on it and think about it and have a connection with the restaurant.
But you know what else? When you say that you're no fuss, like I get
fuss.
that.
I am a lot of fuss.
But when I was referring to how theatrical it was, I think one of the things that I appreciated, because I'm not a lot of fuss that way, but the theater is on the plate.
You're pretty fussy, man.
No, I'm not fussy. But it's on.
Follow your Twitter then, because you're pretty fussy.
Not fussy. That's just
anyways, go on.
But it's on the plate is what I mean. I think back to the episode with Ricardo Paullosa, and I think he makes a reference to the theater of a dish. Right.
Art in its highest form is a reflection on emotion and ideas combined. Mm-hmm. So that's what really sets it off. That's what enables it to be ambiguous. That's what enables it to combine the pool of emotions we all feel through this filter that is reflecting on it in a different way than perhaps we were expecting. And it's what we know about that emotion and how it gets transmitted in the theater of your dish. In the theater, which isn't just visual, but it's the way that those tastes combine and form a narrative that would make it completely, unique. And I experienced that with great food.
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of why the dessert course thing worked so well, because you weren't creating this experience around people. And so had you done that, I think it would have diluted the impact of the dessert course, because then you would just be comparing one physical theater to another.
Right.
Here it was like it's all happening right in front of you, and then you're taken into like a space.
Right.
That's that way.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it was theatrical in the sense of, in like a sort of loosely defined sense, but it didn't feel like gratuitous, and it didn't feel like your focus wasn't on the food.
Right.
The focus is always on the food. On the contrary, I think because it was done the way it was, like it's all staggered with different parties.
Yeah.
There are times that you're like, well, we're the last table, and you become conscious of, oh, there's nobody here, and you end up not giving a shit.
Right.
Like you don't feel the way that you might if you were the only 4 people in a restaurant, because there's enough happening at your table, and that's what you're talking about the whole time. You're not having conversation about some other shit while all that's happening.
The day after the tasting, I took the majority of the day, and I just kind of I thought about the impact that this has on overall the people here, and saying how the focus on the food is really the number one, and the focus on service and the focus on things these. It's been such a fucked up year, on so many levels. Emotionally, mentally draining. Fucking people are broke. People are sad. Everything's stupid. This is what we keep texting each other every other day. This is all stupid.
Everything's stupid.
Everything is stupid. Because it's true. Everything is stupid. But to see how happy these people were that, we're not cooking for food writers or people who, judge things and give you awards or whatever. We're really cooking and doing this thing that we love for our guests and for ourselves. And I saw them so happy, and they just living in that moment, which is really what we do this for. And it's it's satisfying, because there's been so many parts of the year that, my chef, Manny, which is an incredible human being and incredibly talented, there was a time for fucking 4 months which there's nothing wrong with it. He was just slanging tacos and burgers and putting them in a box and like fighting for survival.
Yeah.
And now, for these things, he's busting his ass for fucking 14 hours to make sure that the restaurant's set up, the kitchen is set up, and it feels like he looks and feels alive. As opposed to those days, it was more like we're fighting to have food on our table. And I think that the drastic change in a 6-month span, that's why, I saw these people very happy. They're usually pretty happy, but they were very happy after this.
It gives you something that you've been missing.
Right.
That used to be a normal thing, so it's like a sort of sense of relief. I think probably not that other people feel it less, but I think the best way for me, the one that makes the most sense, the one that's easiest to wrap your head around, is for Todd. Like if you're a if you're a Som and you haven't been able to do Som stuff, to finally get back to being able to do that, even if only for a couple nights a week,
right?
It's a big fucking deal. Just psychologically.
Yeah.
And then for the guests, like you said, it's not a secret, his story. So Frank, the friend who I brought, this is a guy who I wrote about several years ago. He is still homeless. And it was exactly what I thought it would be. Like, I've wanted to help this guy out, but I don't have the capacity to fucking, do much more for him. But this, and I think he went in, not skeptical. He didn't tell me, I don't think that's what it's going to do. But I don't think he realized what I was getting him into. And, you saw the guy.
Yeah.
He's always pretty loud.
Yeah.
But, it took him out of his head.
Right.
In a way that, if there's anybody that's tough to put in that place where you're not thinking about all that shit, it's that guy.
Right.
And that's what it did.
Well, he looked like he had a great time.
He did.
Yeah.
And he found Britt,
his
fellow Philadelphian.
Yeah. No, they were 2 peas in a pod, those two.
Oh, man. They were talking about commandeering this podcast while you're gone.
Oh. Oof.
That might happen in the next 10 days.
I'm going to leave with 22 listeners, come back with 12.
No. That's going to bring them in.
Oh, you think?
That's bringing them in. For context, Frank, by the way, I'll put a link to the story that I wrote about him in the description of this episode. But he sells flags, so anybody with flag needs, a little early shameless plug, go buy your flags from him. That's a good transition, I think, since I mentioned that you'll be gone and Frank and Britt will be stealing your podcast. Where are you going? Unless you wanted to keep doing that. Was there other stuff we didn't get?
No. I think we covered a lot. Yeah. We talk about the tasting every month, so... You
mentioned with Zach that you were going to Utah.
Yes. So I leave tomorrow to Utah. We're going to Salt Lake City and then Park City. I felt like I needed some recharge time. And it goes back to going through the month and trying to find that creative, competitive space that I live in. Because I'm just a competitor by nature. Whether it's competing with myself or nobody really, I just like to push myself, and it felt harder than usual. And I feel like that is because the year has been like a long Groundhog's Day, like the movie with Bill Murray, just like the same thing, and it's mentally straining. And then planning for the future, the whole year's been planning for the future and trying to make sure that things are okay and people are okay. And sometimes you got to look in the mirror and say, are you okay? And, not saying that I'm not okay, but mentally there was a point that I said I needed to reset. So hopefully this does that. I've never been to Utah. I don't know what to expect in Utah. Usually all of my trips revolve around food, and I didn't want that to be this.
Yeah.
I didn't want this to be that, is what I meant to say. I wanted to just go and just go hiking and do nothing. I'm, 2 friends of mine that live there.
Are you much of a hiker?
No.
Okay.
So we'll see how it goes.
But I imagine this won't be your first hike.
No. But
right. But you've enjoyed it when you've done it before.
Yes.
Yeah. Same here. My hikes in my life have been very separated, one from the next. Although when I lived in Wisconsin, there was a little more of that.
Yeah, the hill at Tropical Park isn't really a hike.
Right. That's the thing. Being here, you don't, have much opportunity for it. But I like it when I do it.
Yeah, I'm really into stars. Going out into the middle of nowhere, being very dark, and when I went to Iceland a few years ago, and we saw the Northern Lights, and that was fucking amazing. Yeah. those kind of things really, I feel like, invigorate me. When I was a kid, like every kid, I used to like, know all the constellations and want to be an astronaut when I was like 5. I still love that stuff. So I think this is going to be a cool opportunity to do some more of that. 2 of my friends that live out there, they're trainers. We used to train together, so we'll probably do more training when I'm there. Cool. They were actually my swim coaches. They coach triathletes, so people that are in a lot better shape than me. So that's cool. They're amazing people, and we're actually going to stay with them for a couple days, so that's going to be cool. I feel good about this. It also says a lot to me about the incredibly talented people I have in the building currently, because I usually don't feel comfortable leaving things. And right now I feel 100% confident and comfortable, because in the Ariete kitchen with Manny, Ashley, and Percy, and, Devin and Katrina and the whole pastry department, Brittany and Todd and David and Emma and Will, like we have an amazing staff. So I feel like things will be well taken care of, and that to me means a whole bunch, because it's like, it's the mental strain of that is exhausting. So the fact that I do trust them to do these things is great.
Yeah.
So Utah, here I come.
Nice.
Pancom Podcast live from Utah.
Watch out, Mormons.
I don't even know like the rules. There's a lot of rules in Utah here.
Are there?
From my understanding, yeah.
Oh, I don't know anything about this.
But
where you're going to be, there are no rules. You're out in the wild.
I usually deal better with no rules.
There you go.
Yeah.
You want to do the wind down stuff? We've been at it for an hour-ish.
Oh yeah, it's been an hour.
Yeah, time flies when you're talking tasting menu.
Hey, all right. I do want to give a shout out.
Okay.
To that cigar that I smoked, that I showed you. I don't remember
the Oliva Serie V.
So I smoked 2 cigars that day. The Herrera Esteli.
Yep.
Which is one of my favorite like go-to smokes. It's usually what I start with, and then I'll move on to something else like a 601, an Espinosa, a Drew. But I saw the cigar and I was like, I don't want like an hour-long stick. I wanted something a little smaller. I only want to smoke a cigar for the next 30 minutes and then leave because I had somewhere else to be. And man, it was fucking delicious.
Yeah, the V is one of my favorite cigars.
So fucking good. It smoked incredibly well. The flavor was incredible. Like it hasn't been a while. It's been a while since I smoked a cigar. I was like, wow, that was fucking delicious.
So this is not why you did that. I am going to take this audio and send it to the Oliva people. So Oliva people, I'm coming for your money.
Yeah. Just Venmo us all your money.
But that is that really is one of my favorite cigars. Fun fact, I don't know what your feelings are about them. I happen to like them personally, and also by politician standards. Jose Oliva, our current Speaker of the Florida House, he's the chairman.
Oh, is that his cigar?
Yeah, that's his family's brand, and they recently sold, like a lot of cigar companies have lately, including Drew Estate and a bunch of others. But he's still the chairman at the board of Oliva.
What's his name was there when I was smoking a cigar? Nestor.
Cigar guy?
Yeah.
Miranda?
That guy.
Nestor Miranda?
Yeah.
That guy's a character.
Did
you get to talk to him much?
No, I don't like. I used to play dominoes with him and
really?
Eve from 601. It's like I remember those days, and I don't want to.
Oh, Nestor and Shorty at one table is a lot.
It was a lot back
That's
then.
A lot.
Imagine that was back when I was like 24.
Yeah,
it was a lot.
But I'm not going to say when you're in the mood. I love Nestor, but Nestor, I get how you. But you got to admit, like there are times that you're in the mood for Nestor, and he is spot on for that.
Just like Shorty. There's times when you're.
Yeah, but Shorty is can be a lot of things.
Yeah, he can.
Like a lot of good things. I'm saying, like.
But
Nestor is always animated. Nestor's when you need like somebody, when you need some Nestor energy, that's what you need.
Eric, his son, came to
Eric Jr.
Yeah, he came to the tasting as well.
Cool.
So
I haven't seen them in a long time. You got recommendations? I know you kind of just made one, but
yeah, I guess that's like my only recommendation. Really, I haven't watched anything new or read anything new. I'm actually going to start reading the new David Chang book, which someone gave to me because they know how much I don't like him. So they said that if I read the book, I may like him more because we have stuff in common. But that doesn't mean I'm going to like some
I
of
could
this
see that, though.
stupid shit you say on Twitter.
I don't know a ton about David Chang, but I can see how, and I'm sure you know more about him than I do, obviously. But
I mean,
it does
he's
seem
one of the
like they're
most
probably
he's one of the most influential chefs of the last 20 years.
yeah.
That's without a doubt. He did some amazing things. I don't have to agree with everyone.
I just
all the
mean
time.
like the relationship of him to his food and the culture he grew up in. I can see how there would be things for you to relate to.
Yeah, and I've been to his restaurants, and every time I go, I thought they've been delicious.
Yeah.
I've never gone. You know, like when you go somewhere that has like an incredible following, and you're just like, I don't know, this shit sucks.
Yeah.
It's happened to me so many times. That's never happened at any of his restaurants.
Yeah.
Which is shocking.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to read that.
Cool.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Cool.
I'd like to say that the next podcast will be with the one and only Pastelito Papi.
Nice.
If you don't know who he is, look him up. It's a big deal.
Pastelito Papi with 2 eyes at the end.
That's right, because the other one was taken.
This was before Ariete Hospitality had an Instagram handle budget.
Yeah. No, I mean, we tried to like buy that handle out of that guy, and he's got like, I don't know, 10 followers. I don't know why I didn't just want to give it up. But
Yeah.
I guess, he's going to hold on to it for dear life.
Good stuff.
And Chugs is actually closing for real. What day is tomorrow? The 4th?
Yeah.
On the 4th. Chugs is closing finally tomorrow on the 4th, and we begin construction within the next 14 days, which I'm incredibly excited for. It's been a rough go the last like 3 months trying to deal with some of the issues that we've had. Not us. We're actually incredibly prepared, which is amazing. Some issues that we had with the city and the building. So hopefully that's all ready to go. Today we officially reopened our bar south of 5th, the Scapegoat.
Nice.
We will be honoring the 50% capacity indoors. We won't be seating anyone at the bar. We're going to be honoring all the things. We're right now working with the city to add some outdoor seating, which seems like it's going to happen for next week, which I'm super excited about. And I actually want to thank the city of Miami Beach for working with us on that, which is the first time I've thanked any city for anything. And yeah, I mean, this is all good stuff. I don't know how bright the future is. We still need to get through this like ridiculous bombardment of politics and all the stupid that we live in the world for the next while. But here we are.
Yeah. So I'll make some recommendations and shift to our own plugs. Actually, my only recommendation, because my head has been in DADEMag.com things.
Yeah. Go to DadeMag.
Go to DadeMag.com.
Venmo, DadeMag, all your money.
All the money. But no, the recommendation I will make, and it's possible that I've brought him up here before, but if you are a fan of the rap music, you're a Marlon Craft fan? I like him.
I don't know if I am or I'm not.
He's a funny-looking, skinny white guy from Hell's Kitchen, which I only know because he does a lot of shouting them out. Talented guy and has been very active, like making music videos at home during quarantine.
Yeah?
He's got some good new stuff, but like a lot of very active on the YouTube.
I would recommend to watch the Lollipop music video.
I don't know if I know about the
Of
Lollipop
course
music
you do.
video.
You're the one who showed me.
Which one is the Lollipop music video?
You don't remember the guys from here in Miami that the Lollipop music video?
No. I don't know where you're getting Lollipop from. It's called Light Bulb.
There it is. Light bulbs. Yeah. By who I don't know, but the video is amazing.
Oh man, I'll put a link in the thing.
Please do.
Yeah.
Put the link.
But
That's
that
a
is good.
one.
So yeah, Marlon Craft has some good new stuff. And then I'll do a bunch of plugging of our stuff. Of course, you can subscribe to Pancon Podcast on anything that you listen to podcasts on. DadeMag.com/Pancon Podcast. We'll probably do at least one rerun episode, which now that we're like a year into this, I think we can do that safely. And who knows, maybe some of you listening to this will be hearing that for the first time.
Who are you going to rerun?
If you have a preference, I'm open to it. I think there's some that are more time sensitive than others, but like the first Norman episode was early, so like we've probably picked up some listeners since then who haven't heard Norman's, but that's a good one.
Who was our first episode with?
It was Pablo.
Oh,
which
amazing.
actually he's finally doing Alcalde, which he brought up way back when.
That's amazing.
So we might bring that back.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Talk about an incredible human being.
Yeah,
Pablo.
Pablo's good people. Pablo has I've never had a problem with Pablo. I understand why, but he has delayed due to more important things in his life, coming to my house and blind tasting frozen arepas.
Listen, man, he's got kids.
I know,
trying to own
but
a
I'm
business.
just saying, I'm going to try to put the pressure here on the podcast.
Not everyone can go and eat ice cream midday, okay?
I got these arepas sitting there. I'm going to eat them eventually, Pablo, and then you're shut out of
I
luck.
wouldn't be shocked by that.
Also, speaking of which, DADE blind tastings coming soon. Miguel Massens drinking mojo out of glasses.
I can just imagine Miguel doing
So that's
this.
it. Actually was a very informative thing that he did.
I mean, Miguel is very informative.
He's a good teacher. Like if he were on the lecture circuit, he'd do well there.
Men for others.
Men for others, exactly.
Yeah.
And then coming up soon, I don't know if I've told you this, we're doing a blind tasting, multiple blind tastings probably, with John Falco.
Oh, man.
John Falco really wants to blind taste shitty flavored box wines.
Oh,
I don't know how that makes any sense.
You know, I was talking to Amanda. She's the wine director for Michael Schwartz's group.
Yes.
That she should, because she watches all these ridiculous videos that we do.
Yeah.
Or that you do.
I'll get in
And,
touch with her. We'll do a
And
wine
I was
tasting.
like, you should do like a barefoot tasting or some stupid, ridiculous wine. And she was like, I don't know. I'm like, yeah, I know you should do it. It would be
True
great.
story. Earlier in the day of the dinner here,
Yeah.
Carlos and I apparently channeled our inner college girls and drank 2 bottles of barefoot wine, some white barefoot Chardonnay.
Why would you do that to yourself? You didn't have a headache after?
No, I didn't. I don't know about him, but we had a good time.
That's an interesting midday. Let's crush the barefoot.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So there's that. And then finally, another shameless date plug before we move on to ending this thing. There is an op-ed on the website by my friend Margot Bordas about Trump's tax returns and the New York Times coverage of those tax returns. It is critical of the Times coverage of it, but more from the perspective of the reporting not understanding tax returns. Margot is the owner of an accounting firm with some high-profile entertainment clients, and she knows what she's talking about. So I think it's good to read because I think eventually someone else who maybe you do like or don't like will be at the center of some tax return bullshit, and
Do you think Trump really has the Rona?
yes,
I don't think so.
I think he does.
I don't think he does.
Yeah, okay, fine.
I just don't think he does.
Yeah, but
This all just seems like too orchestrated. I'm not like a conspiracy guy, but this all is just seems very Trumpian.
I don't see how he's being helped by this.
This is very Trumpy.
I will think it's Trumpy if tomorrow he's suddenly testing positive and can come back and I beat it in a few days and see. But if it hurts him the way that I think it will hurt him, I will have a hard time believing.
You think it's going to hurt him?
I think if he misses debates, if he can't do in-person events, which he won't for a while. I know people who've had it who have felt fine but still been testing positive for weeks.
Yeah.
If that's where he is, and they're deep enough into it, I'm more inclined to believe that they tried to cover up that he had it. Now he just has it, and I think they've involved too many doctors.
But if he knew, the thing is, if he also knew that he had it, and then walked into a auditorium that the doors said you needed to wear a mask, and no one on his team was wearing a mask, he also was just I don't give a fuck.
I don't know for certain that he had it then.
That was a week ago.
Right, but supposedly he tested positive 3 days before the announcement on, what was it, Sunday?
I feel like saying, would you just shut up, man?
Come on, man.
Everything is stupid.
Whatever. We'll leave the debates and things for another time because we've been at this for long enough. But yeah, I will say my real hope here is that if Trump misses the next debate, that Jo Jorgensen weasels her way into that thing, and that will make me very happy. I'm not even a big Jo Jorgensen fan, but I would like to see another voice in the mix, and I would be saying that regardless, because I think any lucid person under 50 or 60 years old, I don't know how old she is, but she's not as old as these people, would make either of them look stupid. And I know that a lot of people hated watching that last debate. You didn't get a chance to because I think it was happening during a thing.
Yeah.
But I did read an article that I agreed with that was just, it was a shit show, and that's why there should be more. Because, and I think you and I might agree about this, I think it really shines a light on how absurd everything is and how stupid everything is.
Oh, everything's stupid.
And they look stupid, one of them more than the other. I think Trump looked dumber. Trump looked like more of a pain in the ass. But they both looked like shit. And the more these people look like shit, I think the better for all of us as a country.
I'd like to send well wishes to the entire Montreal restaurant community.
Is that a left field here?
Yeah, because they are being forced to shut down for an entire month.
Wow.
Completely by their government.
Just Montreal, the city?
Yes. As of yesterday. They are being forced to shut all their doors, and they just reopened, I believe, 2 weeks ago. It just seems like very disheartening, and I know a lot of people like gripe that Canada's like got it all figured out, but I don't think so.
That doesn't sound like you got it figured out.
Well, there's a lot of things that happen there that just doesn't seem like they got it figured out. But I mean, I'm not there, so we just hear secondhand. But
so,
have you ever heard the conspiracy that Justin Trudeau is Castro's son?
Yes, I've seen the side-by-side photos.
I think it's true.
Have you heard the conspiracy that Booger McFarlane is actually Zion Williamson from the future?
That's false. They look incredibly alike, but that can't be. But Trudeau and Castro, the whole story too. You know, Castro was. It seems all very possible.
There's a lot there.
Todd!
Whoa!
There he is. We were just talking about you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That can't be good.
Bubble gum and cotton candy, Todd. Nice work.
So I'll end by shouting out, giving thanks to our associate producer level patrons, Mabel DeBonsa and Philip Bennett.
Yeah. Thank you.
And if you want to support what we're doing here at Pancom Podcast and all of the other DADE things, it's Patreon, patreon.com/DADEMAG, DADEMAG. As little as $1 a month. You get some exclusive videos. Actually, I will be putting a video of a video clip from the conversation with Zach the Baker that will only be available there.
Which clip?
Well, I'm not going to give it away. We'll talk about it now when we turn off. But
more sound effects.
There are no sound effects in this one.
Bummer.
Yeah, I know. But that podcast had some good sound effects. I outdid myself on the editing front.
My favorite part of all the things you post that I never read is the comments that people leave. Comments on my critiques on croquetas or black beans, and then comments about people
on the Reddit
that you would probably never dare say to someone's face because you guys are too soft.
Yeah,
anyways,
people had things to say about Zach on Reddit.
People have things to say all the time, but I feel like, you say things behind a little keyboard, it's cute, but I would love to know if people would say that to somebody's face.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, there's that always gets me a little bit.
Yeah.
Like for example,
Twitter beef.
I won't name names here, but people poo-pooing the posts about this op-ed from my friend here.
Oh yeah.
Like, she's an accountant, or like, is she even a tax attorney? It's like, no, dude, she has like a slew of celebrity accounting clients, and she's filing taxes for multimillionaires, and I'm sorry that you think it's really funny that you're qualified because you make food to talk about people's tax returns, but like she knows what the fuck she's talking about.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. People have opinions. I have opinions about shit I don't know about.
Yeah, American Airlines.
And I'm sure
American Airlines had an auto response to one of my tweets today. It was
Did
good.
they?
Yeah.
What'd you have to say about them?
No, I just said that I find that we made a conscious choice to go on a different airline because American Airlines doesn't follow any guidelines whatsoever, and I just find it incredible that American Airlines, that one, has been bailed out $5.7 billion, $4.1 billion of which does not have to be paid back. It's a grant. The other $1.6 billion is a loan that needs to be paid back over 30 years. But then my industry has been given some things, but we have to follow guidelines, or we're being shut down, or we have to do all these things. It just seems very fucked up. Like, this is what I mean. It's not the same. It's
That's
all
why I
stupid.
think there should be no things.
It's all stupid.
All stupid. Everything
It's
is
all
everything
stupid.
Is dumb.
And then my favorite part of what I said about them was they're just like very copy and paste response, in which I said that was a cute copy and paste response. And then someone else said something, and then it was another copy and paste response. It was just very American Airlines. So they're putting that $5.7 billion to work in copy and paste.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So with that, thanks for listening, and
we're off.
done.
Thank you.